All right, what is up? Welcome to Spoiler Kings. My name is St. Curry. We're Brandman Brandon, Bryon the Grizzly, and we are going to talk about Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Mutant Mayhem, the Hollywood weekend blockbuster of the past weekend. So we're going to get into our ratings at the end, whether it should be a now, later, or never. We're going to get into some of the bad stuff and some of the good stuff. But before we do, Bryan's got a breakdown of what this movie's about.
All right. After years of being sheltered from the human world, the Turtle Brothers set out to win the hearts of New Yorkers and be accepted as normal teenagers. Their new friend, April O'Neil, or I'm not going to say the throw-up one, helps them take on a mysterious crime syndicate, but they soon get in over their heads when an army of mutants is unleashed upon them.
Yeah.
April O'Puke.
I'm like, what were you gonna say? You're like, oh, I don't want to get there. I was like, oh yeah, April O'Puke. That was funny. So yeah, I mean, the synopsis is in the name of the title, right? Mutant Mayhem. So yeah, Ninja Turtles and mutants and a bunch of mayhem, and that's exactly what this movie was. So we'll get into some of the good stuff. Brandon, you want to start off with some good stuff?
First of all, to Seth Rogen, in the very slim chance that you happen upon this video, I just want to say thanks, dude. Unlike Michael Bay, I can tell you actually liked the material that you were put in charge of.
When you hate something, you hate it all the way with all your fiber of your being.
Yeah, I sure do. I hate the Michael Bay produced movies with a flaming passion.
The anime characters like puff up in flames.
No, it delivered on its premise. Mutant Mayhem. This movie was crazy in all the right ways. I loved it. I love the animation. I love this movie just on this for the soundtrack alone.
Yeah.
Who thought we'd ever see a montage of the Turtles like busting up crime syndicates set to No Diggity? No, I liked that it was a fresh take that did some new things, but it still treated the overall content with respect. I liked that. I liked the story arc that the Turtles have. I liked the idea of them actually getting like teenage kids to voice the Turtles this time. I think that really worked. Overall, I love the voice acting. Ice Cube as Superfly was so entertaining. Paul Rudd was great as Mondo Gecko. I know what's her face from What We Do in the Shadows voiced Wingnut.
Yeah.
John Cena and John Cena and Seth Rogen were the voices of Bebop and Rocksteady, even though those were like glorified cameos and they only had like 3 lines each.
Yeah.
But I really liked it. Like I mentioned, the animation style was really cool. I think like Spider-Verse kind of lit a fire for people being kind of a little more innovative and creative with animation. So actually I think this lended itself to animation more than live action, at least for now. I will watch as many sequels as they want to make to this. I liked Jackie Chan. I kind of thought it was funny that rather than like the wise sensei, they made him almost like a helicopter parent, like overprotective Asian parent.
Yeah.
Which was pretty fun. But yeah, I had a lot of fun watching it, and I'm probably gonna see it more than once. But yeah, those are my thoughts on it.
Okay. What about you, Bryon, with some good stuff?
I thought it was good, but it was just good. Like it wasn't phenomenal to me. It was like, okay, I think Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, the live action one, the first one was better. I probably liked the second one better. I thought this was like right after the second one. But maybe it's because it was in my wheelhouse of at me growing up, and this was just like okay, like to me it was just like okay, and maybe I just didn't relate to it as much. But there were times where I was like, okay, I don't care.
Really,
I thought it was real well acted, well voiced over, well written. It just didn't hit for me as much as everyone else. Like everyone's like, it's the best one I've ever seen. And I was like, to me, it's not the best one I've ever seen. It's better than a lot of other crap I've seen. You know, it was well done. I know Seth Rogen knew what the hell he was doing. He understood the story he was going to go with, and he hit with it. But it's not like it didn't hit the same way as the live action did for me. Because I really love the live action. So maybe that's what it is more because I loved it so much that this is just like, good. You did a good job. I enjoyed it. But that was just where I left it.
Okay. And then real quick, so Travis asked, not a spoiler, but how are the villains distributed in the film? Do they face them one at a time or all at once? With all the mutants, it's kind of all at once. Like
they turn on each other. So
yeah, there's some stuff, but for the most part, it's like it's the turtles, and then boom, then you get like a truck full of mutants all at once, and yeah, so yeah, it's not like, oh, here's one and then the other is like, here's Superfly and here's like the other 10 of them, so that's really not spoilery. I don't think, because you're halfway through the movie, you're like, where's all these other mutants, and then you get them all at once. So yeah, I don't think that's a spoiler. But yeah, I don't know, anything else with the good stuff, or that about it?
No, yeah, that's about it.
I don't know, for me, I thought me too, I love the original one. That's still one of my favorites, like Ninja Turtles ever. But this one I really liked because I thought it was a story I never seen told from the Ninja Turtles, because every time we see Ninja Turtles, they're really like, they're not like they're teenage, but they're not like teenage, where this is like they actually dealt with problems that teenage boys would have, especially teenage boys that were like always segregated. They're always
preteen boys.
These are like 13.
Yeah, these are preteen, like almost that preteen type thing. I thought the live action one dealt with teenage boy stuff still, and teenage boys are stupid. Yeah, they are. They're just stupid. They're kids. They just do
25-year-old is also stupid. It doesn't.
Yeah, but they weren't like go out drinking. Yeah, they're not going out.
I like that they leaned more into the teenage element of it. I think they kind of felt more like teenagers than ever before for me.
I saw them like those kids were like 13 years old. Like each one of them was like 13.
Just became so what's it? So 13-year-old's more of a teenager than a 16-year-old.
But I never saw the Ninja Turtles in the live actions as 16-year-old. I saw them like 18, 19.
They literally said they're 16, like in the live.
But they did say they were 15. That
15. Mikey was 15. They were 16. Like they were literally that age. And that's why I would do what I was 15.
But they never dealt with like teenage problems. They're just like, hey, the Ninja Turtles.
Personally, I never got the feel that these were 15, 16-year-old boys, because they always sounded and acted like they were 30.
That's how I was when I was 15, 16 years old.
But I mean,
I was never a little kid like that.
What did they do? I don't want to get too much into that yet. But like this one, I felt these were teenagers. They were kids. They were like,
they were children.
I want to hang out with friends. But they were dealing with kids shit. Like I want to hang out with friends. I want to go to school. I want to be around my peers. I want the acceptance of the people around me. This is what kids go through. This is what young teenagers go through. You know what I mean? This is what it is. This is what all of them do.
That's like 7,
every single kid goes through it. Not 7. No, you're talking about like 12, 13, 14. When you're in high school, you want to impress everybody. You're like, what can I do? Like this is not. These kids are not like going into like 6th or 7th grade. These kids are like high school. Like middle school. So
it was like middle school. Like but still, they're 12 years old. 12 years old is 7th grade.
Yeah,
13 years old is 7th grade.
But that's
7th and 8th grade.
Like, all right, forget about but they're dealing with teenage stuff. We never seen the Ninja Turtles deal with teenage stuff.
Yeah, didn't they still follow the formula of this being 15 years after they came into contact with the ooze, so they'd be 15?
Yeah, they should be 15.
Yeah, but no, and they teenage stuff is also identity crisis, knowing how you fit in with the world, learning how to be who you are. All those things are all teenage things. Yeah. So like I disagree.
And they never done that in any of the other shows.
They never Leo learning how to be who he is, or Michelangelo being too silly and not being taken seriously, or Raph having all this anger inside. All those are teenage things. So I just
contained within the four of them. You know what I mean?
Like, each one of them is dealing with a different type of teenage thing. So like I think all those things are part of it. Now it's literally the difference between being 12, 13 years old and 15, 16, 17 years old. And that's what I'm saying. Like that's exactly what identity crisis is what it is at 16.
Yeah.
That's identity crisis. And you're trying to figure out who the hell you really are and how do you fit into this world.
But that was the problem. They weren't how they fit in the world, is how they fit into the family of themselves. You know what I mean? They never dealt with like, oh, I want to be accepted by the world. They never dealt with that. Maybe
I didn't want to be animated one, but I wanted to make sure that I would love to walk around. Raph was dealing with the fact that I am alone and I cannot go out as myself. That's literally what he was doing in the first movie.
Yeah, I mean, but you have 30-year-olds doing the same thing. You know what I mean? It's not
what 30-year-olds trying to.
Oh, you get like a bunch of rage people. You have like especially millennials of people our age, is like, oh, I want to be a doctor when I grow up. I'm like, dude, you're 35. Like, you know, like you still get a lot of that kind of stuff, you know. But
that's not what Raph was dealing with. He was dealing with
rage.
With rage and not being able to be out and not being able to go out and see people and not being able to fit in and only having to deal with those people. That's exactly what people deal with. If you don't believe that, ask a 60-year-old who went through the pandemic. Like that's exactly what they're going through. Like I feel like it does. I think I'm not trying to say that they did not deal with preteen stuff in this movie. I'm just saying both of them deal with different levels of teenage stuff. Either way it goes. I don't think that the first movie did not deal with teenage stuff. I think it still did. It's just
I think they're planning something pretty big, and they're doing it. Yeah. I think they wanted to start young with the Turtles and cast accordingly. I think they're probably going for enough longevity to where we will grow along with the Turtles. We will watch them grow.
Yeah. But to me personally, I think this was the youngest versions of the Turtles that we've seen, and I liked it because I think seeing like kids today, this is what I see when I see kids today, you know, going into like, you know, 8th grade, graduating, you know, 8th grade, going to high school, stuff like that. It's like this, you know, like acceptance and like wanting just so much and not knowing what you want. And then, you know, like thinking you're smarter than everyone else and thinking you can outwit your dad and stuff like that.
Yeah, you know, and also 15, 16 years old. Because, you know, I hired.
I'm not saying like I'm around 16 that one. The original one never really got into it like that. The Ooze, the second one, maybe a little bit more.
They definitely did.
But I just don't feel like those original ones tackled being a teenager
as much as this one did. I think that it didn't tackle high school, but it did still tackle being a teenager because of the identity crisis that you have with those type of things. I mean, like I said, I hired all these 15, 16-year-olds that I'm always around, and I see them having these same type of identity issues and knowing, you know, how do I fit,
but
and having rage issues and all
those kids to this movie or to the original live action one. I can see kids being more relatable to this one than the live action.
I'll talk to them. You know, they still have rage issues. They still have pandemic issues. They still have things like that they've been isolated and not being able to deal with it.
And I'm not saying that's not wrong. I'm not saying that's not what it is. I'm just saying the original and live actions didn't touch that as much as this movie did.
Yeah, it did. Being isolated and then having to deal with the world.
You're confining it to just a pandemic and stuff like that. It's
I'm saying, being a teenager, because like I was a teenager that was isolated from a lot of things. So I'm telling you, like I see how it works. I'm not saying this movie didn't, but I'm saying this movie is more preteen, trying to fit in, trying to figure out what you're doing at 6th, 7th, 8th grade. And I'm saying that other one was more like 16, 17, 18-year-old, like trying to figure out, where do I fit in the world? How do I deal with isolation? How do I get to my best version of myself? Who do I become? How do I get to that point? and then Mikey's being young and being the youngest of them and trying to have to learn how to grow up. I feel like both of them are levels, but teenager is a vast, thing. That's 12, 13, 14, and then 16, 17, 18 are two different things. They could both be true.
Yeah, no, I agree with that, but also I don't think that original live action one was like a 16-year-old trying to figure out themselves. I think it was just a character trying to figure out who they were. And that's not directly to being a teenager. You could do it when you're 21, when you're still in college, after college, like you'd be like 25 and still trying to figure out who you are.
Sure. The whole point of the whole thing with the first two movies in live action was they're immature and not knowing how things go and not knowing how they fit and why they can't do certain things and why they have to sneak around from Splinter and hide things from him, even though he was wise and all this stuff. That is a teenager. That's what they do in high school. Yeah. That's what you do with your parents when you're 15, 16, 17 years old. You sneak out of your house. You do all these other things. Like, that's what you do. I think it's just two different time periods. That's what I'm saying. They're just two different times. They're both.
By the end of the first one, I didn't feel like they were still teenagers. I'm like, oh, you guys are older. You're dealing with stuff that a teenager wouldn't deal with, and you're past stuff like that.
Not more Kombat, Power Rangers. They'll be like Power Rangers, like the same thing they deal with, or Saved by the Bell. With the same thing that they're saying with at the same time too. Like, it's just those are things. Those are part of it too.
Mm-hmm. I don't know, but that's why I feel like these are more relatable to teenagers than any other version. That's how I feel than any other version. I'm not saying the other ones are bad by any means, but I don't, just that's all I think. So here we got to move on. Where did we leave off? We got Cleves in the chat now. See, this is like 10 minutes ago at this point. So sorry. I felt the same way, bro. I just finished it and it was it isn't better, sorry, than the original. I'm like high school. Yeah. Agreed. Mutant Mayhem is just okay to me. Certainly not the best TMNT movie. I'd argue that the 1990s Turtle film is in the 10. Let me make my screen bigger. There we go. 10 best comic book movies filmed all time and is better than the Bird and Batman movies. Ooh. Wow. That might be an argument. That might be a good argument to make. They did seem like they were 12. Similar to Tom Holland Spider-Man, there's a weird disconnect where you were used to watching adults playing teenagers. The teenagers playing them feels off. Yeah, I think that might be a thing too. That you're so used to being like, oh, that's a 16-year-old, and it's really like a 30-year-old man. Where now you actually have like 15-year-olds being played by like 15-year-olds.
I mean, I know 16-year-olds every day. I deal with them, so that's why I was like, when I see it, I the same type of stuff. 16-year-olds don't act like children. They don't, do that. Their voices change. Your voice changes at 12 or 13 years old. Like your voice, you are on that level. Like as you're getting there, that's now you're dealing with certain different things, and that's part of maturity and how things work. I have no problem with either way. And I think we probably will get it in the animated. You could probably still get it still the same stuff because. The second movie, if they're going to be older, they're going to be dealing with different things.
Well, yeah.
That's just how high school goes. Like you're going to be dealing with freshmen don't deal with the same thing that juniors do. And you don't act the same way.
Because I'm looking at the ages. All the ages are anywhere between 17, 19, 17. So they're all like 17 and 19, all the voice actors, at least for the Turtles. So.
Kid who voiced Donnie sounded like he was about 10.
Yeah, I don't know what you're saying.
What? I'm looking at their ages. They're all like that's their age. The one that played Donnie, I think he was. Where's he at? What the heck?
Micah Abbey.
Micah Abbey. He was probably the youngest out of all of them.
Yeah,
I believe it.
Just turned 15.
Yeah, he was the youngest out of all of them. So
he's now what they're voicing it.
Yeah, so he would have been like 13, not 13. 3 years ago. Yeah, it was like filmed
3 years ago. He was 12.
Yeah, no, I'm saying like he's 15 now. So when he was probably voicing
when they
probably
voiced
like
it, he was probably 13.
2 years ago?
A year and a half?
Started production like
a year and a half ago? Yeah, a year and a half ago, yeah. You know, before your voice changes, yeah, that makes sense. His voice is going to change, going to get a little scratchy.
He was
this
born
makes perfect sense.
November 8th. Like, oh no, he was born November 8th. So tomorrow he's going to be 16. So
tomorrow?
He's going to be 16.
November?
Oh, I'm sorry. A couple months. I'm way off, man.
That's going to be like great timing.
I know, right? But yeah, so yeah. No. But he's the youngest by far. All the rest are like 19, 17.
Now. But they're saying they probably were doing it. They're probably, and they didn't sound. They sound like they're teenagers, except for him. So
yeah, he sounded the absolute youngest.
You know, if he's 13, 14 years old, and the rest of them are 15, 16 years old, they sound like they're 15, 16 years old.
Yeah, which is like we never got that. We got Corey Feldman, voicing Donnie last time, in the live action. Who like he was what 20 something, who sounded like a 50 something year old already. So.
I feel like I'm the only person in the world who did not like Corey Feldman as the voice of Donatello. I was never a fan.
I don't know. I could leave it or take it. It wasn't the worst thing. It wasn't the best thing.
Well, I'm biased because Donnie's always been my favorite turtle. His voice just never suited the character for me.
Yeah, the Michael Bay one, I did not like that voice.
I was fine with that voice. I just hate how they made him like overly nerdy with the friggin' duct tape herbal glasses and.
We're gonna get to the
like
bad
all,
stuff.
All the shit, like
I got some bad stuff. Yeah, I got some bad stuff.
You're a ninja. How is any of that functional or tactical in battle?
All right. So just for sake for time, I'm gonna get to the comics, but we're gonna keep going with our review. I do see it in here. But real quick, Superfly was great. All right, so let's get into some of the bad stuff. What you got for some of the bad stuff, Brandon?
I think some of the and this is something that, if I remember correctly, the original movies didn't do as much, at least not the first one. But a lot of the pop culture references in this movie are really going to date it down the line. Like the BTS reference. Donnie saying, "Oh, I wanted to see BTS IRL," which was I didn't like that line. But yeah, a lot of the pop culture references are really gonna date it down the line. I think even though I liked the fresh take with getting actual teenagers to voice the Turtles, I kind of want to say that the voice actors for Donnie and Mikey should have switched places.
Yeah.
I agree with.
Yeah. The actor who voiced Mikey kind of came off a little too sedate and almost monotone at times for Mikey, who's supposed to be a very colorful character.
Yep.
And he just came off really sedate for me. I think that even though I kind of liked the fresh take on Splinter, they could have done more with him, with especially with learning ninjutsu. The backstory for the Turtles, I thought could have been a little stronger. They could have just kept it content accurate in that regard, but at least I bought it more than him learning from ninjutsu for dummies, like in the Bay movies.
Yeah, say it with that flair.
So yeah, I think those were like the main ones that come to mind for me. Some of the pop culture references will probably date it down the line. The voice actors, they could have kind of switched places, and they could have done a little more with the origin of the Turtles, and them learning ninjutsu. That could have been a little stronger. I think they could have just kind of kept that traditional to the content, but it didn't. Those kind of hurt the movie for me. That's what I'd say. Very, very enjoyable, but those were probably my top three.
Yeah. Okay. What you got, Bryon?
I think that's my number one thing, the origin. It's not the Turtles origin that I was looking for. Sometimes you want to have a fresh take on things. Sometimes you want to kind of still stay with the same story. But I also realized they couldn't stay with the same story because it would affect the Shredder stuff. Like, Shredder was not going to be in this movie, so you didn't want to do that. It just didn't it made less sense with the whole Splinter. It made less sense with the stuff with him knowing how to do stuff. If he was just a regular rat, how do it just wasn't cohesive story, a cohesive thought. But besides that, I think everything else is pretty fine. Honestly, everything was just good to me. I was like, oh, this is fine. This is fine. I understand. But if they would have did that, it would change too much of the story that I don't think we would have gotten the same type of movie. So, though it's my complaint, it's just okay for me still.
So I agree with you both. The voices right off the bat, the more they start talking, I'm like, you put the wrong characters on the wrong voices. I was like, that's definitely a Mikey voice, and that's definitely a Donnie voice. Why they flipped it, I don't know. Are they trying to say like Mikey hit puberty before Donnie did? I don't know. It just felt off. Like they should have been 100% flipped. I mean, I know we've been saying that. Brandon's been saying that since the first trailer. It was like it felt off with that. So I do agree with that. Like those voices should have been flipped. And the same thing with the backstory. So where Brandon, you said like at least it's better than the Michael Bay thing. I thought it was on the same level of like silliness. I was like,
yeah,
that's exactly what. So first of all, it's like you kind of do a rough design of what Michael Bay did with the Turtles. So now they kind of look like the Michael Bay things without all the gear so far yet.
Yeah. I hate that.
I
hate that the whole glass is on Donnie and giving like a Rafa pirate bandana stuck.
Yeah, I hate that they had braces. It doesn't make any sense. I'm like, because the whole time I'm like, Mikey have braces? I'm like, because then it's the same issue with Donnie needing glasses. I'm like, you guys are mutants. Like you guys became human, like it's like, oh, but your eyes are bad. Like what? Yeah. like I get for you need to like if like you wear them up top because they're like a magnifying glass or something like that because you're a little nerdy boy, but maybe, but like just to wear them like you're a mutant, like that makes no sense. Braces too. I was like what? Like that's where I think they were like stretching too much. It's like, oh yeah, these are kids, these are like young kids that
those are
like, oh, you got braces, you got braces.
Braces are 12, 13, 14-year-olds, and I think it's looked the hit for I
went to high school. Well, I went to high school with a lot of people that had braces.
And they did take them off around their 16.
That senior year, a lot of them took them off.
Maybe I was with two rich people that got him off at 16. I don't know, but because kissing was a big deal.
Yeah.
And that's what you do at 16.
Yeah. So I was just like, oh, the braces. But the biggest thing was again with the origin. I was like, so like, because I was thinking about this a lot. I was like, that could have been the best part of it, and I think they turned it into something silly like Michael Bay did. And I know Bryon, you said like it couldn't lend itself to Shredder. I think the opposite. I think it could lend itself to Shredder because you could have went like the old movie and he was the pet rat. That was kind of goofy already and funny. But you could have gone like the cartoon where it was the human, like instead of the because in the old movie it was the rat was the pet of the human. In the cartoon, in one of the versions of the cartoon, it's the human that gets covered with the ooze, and I think it's like almost like Spider-Man, like the ooze. He grabbed the rat with the ooze and kind of became a rat.
Yeah, you could have done something even like that. Handling rats and hanging out with them in the sewer.
No, he was I think visiting New York. In the cartoon, I could be wrong. It's 2003 at this point.
He was visiting. He was exiled to New York,
something like that. Yeah, And then the big explosion happened, and then that's when he saw like the turtles and the rats, and then something happened with the rat. But he became one. You could have done either or. I would have been okay with, but at least somehow he would have had the knowledge already. Whether being the pet like the original one and he'd do karate in the cage, or being the man. But either way, I think that would have worked out, because then that would have gave more of a reason for Shredder to come to New York. Because here in the movie they give it their reason, and it was a good enough reason. But if they would have made Splinter the actual enemy of Shredder, it would have been like, oh, he finally revealed himself. I need to go there and eliminate him. You know what I mean? Plus, I'm gonna get paid. Mm-hmm. So I think that would have been kind of interesting for that. But yeah, just him learning it from watching the TV shows or whatever it was. And I was like, oh, really? We're doing the Michael Bay thing here? Like, we're just reading a book and becoming a ninja master, and I was like, oh, but even it poked fun at itself. So I was like, why couldn't you just go full crazy? Because it even poked fun of itself when they said like, oh, because I'm an older rat, so I became an older rat man, and these are baby turtles, so they became baby turtle boys. I was like, okay, it's funny. I get it. You're being goofy with it, but didn't go all the way, and you make him become a human rat guy that knew karate. You could have still did the helicopter parent thing and stuff, but I feel like just him being a rat, like I'm like, Michael Bay did it, and I don't think anybody liked it in Michael Bay, so why are you repeating it? That was my biggest issue with it, was those kind of exactly what you guys said. So fair. So couple negatives from you guys in the chat. Xavier said the braces threw me off too. Who put them on? Exactly. It was Shredder's. So he read a book. He watched somebody on cable and became a dentist because he's a super rat. Grizzly, was this not the like Transformers to tank like you said? No, it's not.
I don't have hate.
He's kind of okay.
I'm like, it's fine. I don't have the hate for it.
He likes this a lot more than I like Transformers.
So easily. I thought this was it's still a good movie. It's just not like, the end all be all. It was like, oh, it's great. Yeah, it was good.
Yeah. I do not know who said Roger was in that.
He had his hand invincible.
Yeah.
Rogan.
I'm going down. Yeah, I'm going down the wrong way, because I know there's a Preston said, I'm not gonna lie, I didn't know who Seth Rogen was until I searched it up. I know you're younger, so I know you missed out on some of his early stuff. But yeah, I mean, Superbad. That's the first thing I remember him in, right? I don't think I can remember him anything before Superbad.
Is it before Knocked Up? Yeah, probably.
I think it is right on, at least around the same time, because I think Knocked Up was like, I think right around there. But yeah, man, yeah. I mean, I still like quote him like, I'm like, he's the fastest kid alive. He's the fastest kid. It's like, it's such a great. And then how do you not know who he was? I mean, now Seth Rogen's kind of becoming the comic book guy. He's doing comic book animated movies the best. Invincible. This one was really good. He did something else that he had his hands into.
Preacher. And the boys, of course. Well, you said that.
Yeah, the boys. Cool. Was it 50-50 with Seth was dope. I remember what was 50-50.
It was the one with Joseph Gordon-Levitt when he thought he had cancer.
Yeah.
That's right.
50 chance.
Yeah. They go all out. Was it Anthony Mackie in that one too?
Yeah.
I want to see.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So, all right.
And Anna Kendrick.
Wait, Seth was in Knocked Up. Yes, Seth was in Knocked Up. He was the main character in Knocked Up.
The main character in Knocked Up.
40-year-old virgin. He was one of the
probably 40-year-old virgin first.
I think so. Yeah, because he was just a side character in that. Yeah, he was a side character in Superbad too. But I think he was part of the writer crew or something. I don't know. But turn my light back on. All right, let's get into our ratings real quick. All right. So we got Spoiler Kings. We do things nice and easy. Now, later, never. Now means go watch it right now. Later means you can wait till it's out on DVD or streaming. Never means just skip it. Is not worth your time. Brandon, what you giving? What you giving it?
I'll give this a now.
Okay.
It's a lot of fun. From a visual standpoint, I liked the voice acting. I was, like I said, aside from the some of the voice actors needing to kind of switch places, like Ice Cube, Jackie Chan, Paul Rudd, that was great, and I was really invested in the characters. Around the same as I was for the characters in the 1990 movie. I thought that it did its own thing while for the most part respecting the content overall, aside from what we mentioned with how they learn martial arts. Like I said, that could have been done better. But overall, that I had a really, really fun time with this. Love the soundtrack.
Yeah.
Visually, I loved it. A lot of fun. I'll watch more. I'll watch as many sequels as they want to make. So yeah, this was a lot of fun. I can give this a now.
Okay. Oh, what about you, Bryon? What you giving it?
I don't know if it's like a definite now. Like if I was ranking it, like I pretty much put it in like the 13, 14, 12, 13, 14 ranking for the year, which is still very good because we all seen like over. It's still my top, quarter of my movies. But is it like a super now? Like you need to drop everything you can do and go see it right now? No, but I think it's one of those movies you want to see in theater. And I actually saw 3D, so I enjoyed it because I thought the animation kind of lended to it. But I still say now, but it's not like this the top of now. It's just when you have time to go do it. I'm probably going to see it again with my kids. It's good. So yeah, I still give it a now.
Yeah. So same. I'm giving it a now. I thought it was fun, a lot of fun. And minus the issues I had, I thought it kept fairly respectable to the characters, and to the origin of all of them. They didn't try to do anything stupid where like, oh, Leo's the nerdy one now, Michael's the leader. Keep them how you keep them, and that's how you do. But they have some changes in it. But even with all that, with those changes, I'm still giving it a now. I had a lot of fun with it. The soundtrack was great. It was really great. I don't know what other movie. What were they singing in the van when the Gecko was driving? It was like some like punk rock, or I can't remember what song it was. But I mean the soundtrack was crazy. Like it bounced around between a few different genres, and it made sense, and it was funny, and it was really good.
They had me right when they started playing MOP at the beginning.
Yeah. So it was definitely a fun time. But I would give it a now. It's kind of where Bryon said, like, maybe you don't need to go see it right now. But sometime in the weekend, or you get some free time and stuff like that. I think it is worth seeing, in the theaters. And stay tuned for the post. There's a post credit scene that
mid credit scene.
Yeah. The mid credit scene. There's nothing at the end. So, but that was a good post credit scene. But cool. So that's our ratings for that one. And then we also got the Rotten Tomato score, which is what the critics think. Out of 174 reviews from the critics, they gave it a 96%. So it is up there. That's probably one of the better ones of the year for the critics. And then for the audience, 1,000+ verified ratings, give it a 92. So you got both audience and the critics both giving it a 90 in the 90s. So, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I would put it somewhere in the 90s. I will, it's somewhere 80s, 90s. It was good.
Yeah.
Just not. I'll argue it's not the best Turtles movie I've ever seen, but it's definitely not the worst. And I don't want to compare it to the worst. Just say it was good. It was good. I don't want to compare it to what terribleness I've seen. That's not what it's about. It's about that this was a good genre, a good start, I didn't like the origin, but that was it.
Yeah. And then we got Preston coming in. Preston also is giving a now all day. So there you go. Thank you, Preston, giving his review of it as well. So there you go. We got four nows for it. So yeah, that's our thoughts for it. If you're watching live, stick around because I think we actually might compare it to some of the worst and bad ones, stuff like that. I don't know if we'll do an official tier list right now. Maybe sometime next week for our live show. We'll do something like that. But so stick around. We'll probably definitely talk about more Turtles and where it fits in with the rest. But we want to hear from you guys. If you're watching our replay, leave a comment down below and let us know what you think about this one. You liking it? You're not liking it? Was it too much for you? But leave a comment. Let us know. Hit that subscribe button. We're doing our giveaway pretty soon, probably next week, I think. So hit that subscribe button. Check out our giveaway video. Hit the like button on this video and on that video. And then hopefully you can win some of those goodies because they are some good goodies. Some really good goodies. But cool. If you're watching live, stick around. But we are going to move on to our next topic.